Hey there, it's Sandy, and welcome back to Consultant Circle. This episode is launching in honor of Women's History Month, a time to recognize and celebrate the impact women have on business, on families, and on the communities they serve. To mark the occasion, we brought together 5 national consultants and business owners in the direct sales industry. Women who've built teams, navigated challenges, raised families, and grown through every stage of entrepreneurship. They're answering real questions straight from the field and sharing perspectives rooted in decades of experience. So happy Women's History Month to the women who came before us and to those still shaping what's next. Let's tune in.
I'm older now, and I become more conscious of, like, you know, you're a woman, right? And I never thought of myself like as a woman, you know. I don't know. I just thought of myself like as a person in business for the longest time.
True, yeah.
And it wasn't until like we started to get like pretty successful, you know, Julia and all of us, that people were like, yeah, and you're a woman. I like never even thought about that before.
I agree. I never
Yeah.
either.
So
Yeah.
I just, you know, and I think that's kind of a, you know, it's kind of like a special bond now,
Yeah.
because I never thought it was. I remember Kinsey asking me one time to be like, hey, you got to talk about like being a mom and being a woman. A lot of us have children, and, you know, it is like a real balancing act, right?
It's a real thing. Yeah.
And you realize, like, you know, wow, these people weren't messing around. Like, I am a woman, yeah. And turns out my child's proof of that. And and I think it's made me at least really proud of everything that Julia and Kinsey and Larissa and Imani, obviously being mothers as well, and then Abby, you know, just recently getting married. I think that bond it's like made me appreciate it and like it more, when for so long I think I just didn't even recognize it. And then one day I woke up and I'm like, man, we really did do something awesome.
Yeah.
So that's been special.
Yeah. And watching people like grow, like we all grew up together, you know, like I was 22 when I started, Jess was 24 and wore her hair in a ponytail on top of her head with like 3 scarves on.
That's what I did.
You know, you know, like you were married but didn't have kiddos yet, and you were dating, you know, Brent, but not, you know, not married, and just, you know, crazy. You were single, but I think that's so special, you know, like we all grew up, you know, and became, you know, really successful in our careers, but then also really successful in our personal lives too. And I think, I mean, I don't want to put words in anybody else's mouth, but I think we all have really incredible marriages, husbands, kiddos, lives, like support systems.
I think that everybody who I've seen that really succeeds in our industry typically does have a really healthy personal and professional life. Like they've found a way to make it all work.
Yeah.
You burn out otherwise. Like you have to have balance.
Yeah, I mean, your partner's the most important decision you'll ever make, is who you're spending the rest of your life with. And if you don't pick someone who's incredible and supports you at everything you're doing, then it's going to be really hard. Your life's already hard enough.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Are you guys ready for some questions that we recorded at one of our last meetings?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
My name is Tim Richardson. I'm originally located in Boston, Massachusetts. I've been an ICD owner for about 5 months. One of the questions that I have for you are, now that you're putting a lot of work into your business, right? How do you get maybe a family member or a spouse to support all the work that you're putting in right now?
I think, Kinsey, you should answer this first, because I know your parents were like wildly successful in life, so they probably had a lot of questions when you started.
Yeah, my parents had a lot of questions, but you know, I would say that probably one of the best pieces of advice that I got many years ago was that, like, your family, your significant others, your you know, spouses, your roommates, people like that, people that love you, they're going to protect you naturally. So they're looking at who you are today, and they're making a judgment call based on who you are today and the actions that you've had in years gone by on whether or not you're really cut out for the job that you're telling them you're going to do. And it was totally fair that my dad didn't think I was going to be successful, because I was, you know, sorority girl, partier, fun Kinsey. And there was not a part of me that was very serious. And so I think it was a fair assessment that, like, I wasn't mature enough. And I think that I had to understand that he was going to be negative until I proved him something different. And I just had to be okay with that. At the end of the day, your goals have to be bigger than anybody else's opinion of you. And I really thought I could do this, but I knew I had to prove it not just to him, but to myself, to my team, to everyone that I was, involved in. And so he was very negative. He said, hey, I think business is great, but I just really don't think she's going to do it.
Like you?
Yeah. And in the nicest way possible. And, and I think if you ask him today, he's like, I always knew you could.
Yeah, it was coming around in the opposite. Yeah.
But I think what he forgets is that for a really long time, he just didn't really think I was going to put in the effort. And so it was fair he was so negative because I hadn't shown him anything different.
Yeah. He didn't estimate your stubbornness.
Yeah. Which actually, that was something that Jess and I talked about early on. That was definitely a motivational factor for me.
Yeah.
It's I'm going to prove everyone wrong.
It's such a good driving force.
Yeah.
It is
it's like a chip on my shoulder.
Sure.
I think we all had skepticism on the back end from family or friends or whatever. What was the point where you were like, okay?
I remember my dad sat me down at the kitchen table and he's like, Abby, you just got this college degree. He's like, there's more ways to make money, right? I was like, hold on. And she had just ran how business owners make money in this industry. And he was like, hey, that's all fun and games. That's what she makes, right? But how is that ever going to become you? And I was like, hold on. I'm learning a ton. I love this. I really disliked working for the airlines prior. Really, really enjoyed what I was doing. I think I could be good at this. I don't know, but I'm gonna take a shot at it. When I started, I was selling pillows in the back of a Sam's Club. And my dad was like, there's more ways to make money than this in life. Please, Abby, you don't need to do this. And I was like, Dad, you're acting like this is so degrading. It's fine. I really like this. I loved her. I loved the entire industry. I was like, I really think if I put a bunch of effort into this, I think I could be really good at this. And so obviously, fast forward 9 years later, now my sister is a business owner in our industry. My little cousin has started and is kicking butt and taking names in the industry. And so it's just been such a night and day perception from my family. First it was like, what in the world? Fast forward to now though, the Christmas gifts are always trips, right? And because I don't live where my family lives, it's important to me to spend time with them like that. And it's just really special. So they know every year now we're going somewhere out of the country on my dime and I love it.
And then Imani, how did you win over the mindset, or maybe you didn't, but how did you navigate that with your parents?
Yeah, so just, I think being Middle Eastern, if you're any kind of foreign or of immigrant parents, it's just, when your parents come to a country, looking and making that sacrifice for their kids, and they're like, we're here because we want you guys to have a better life, and really all they hear about being safe is things like being a doctor or a lawyer, where there's it feels like real job stability, and you tell them, you're going to do something different than that, even though you already did a good chunk of the legwork, to be on track to do that. That's hard for them to hear, and then especially in industry that you have no formal education in, that no one in your family's ever done before. Of course they're not going to be supportive. Logically, it doesn't make sense for them to be supportive of that. As a parent today, I can tell you that I would not, as a parent today, I can understand where I would be like, what do you mean you're going to do it? Absolutely not, you're going to do that. No way you're going to do that. So I think it's hard to see that when you're, from the other side, right? It's hard to see that. And I can only see that today as a parent, really looking back on that, I can reflect on that. So I think for them it made sense. It was kind of like Kinsey, where it was like, you know what, and I didn't start out very serious about this either. I was like, I'm going to do this for a little bit. I'll get the sales experience. I'll do pharmaceutical sales, make money, and go to medical school. That was not my plan to be here, at all. And then I went to one of our client meetings in, Dallas, and I was like, oh, wow. I've severely underestimated what this is. Still wasn't sold on it. I was like, I'll run a business for a couple years, save that money, and, eventually go to medical school. And I told my dad that plan, and he laughed harder. So I was like, he's like, Imani, you don't understand how hard it is to be a business owner. He was a business owner, so he was like, you don't see success for 15 years. It's not possible. So to Kinsey's point, it was a really good driving force for me. I was like, well, then I never want them to question my decisions again, so I have to make sure this one's good. And my husband, I mean, what was really helpful is he actually came, to one of our company team events, and he was like, oh my God, this is phenomenal. This is such a great opportunity. Don't screw this up, Imani. And then, she came back and she's like, make sure you get a ring out of this relationship. She's like, he's great. And I was like, okay, wow, that's amazing, So, but up until then, he'd been like very not supportive, very, confused, I think.
Hi, my name is Jake. I've been an ICD owner now for 7 months. And my question is, what do you do when you're in a slump and you can't get out of it?
Oh, that's such a good one.
I'll go first. I've been in a slump many times, more than I can probably even count. What usually pulled me out was traveling. I had to get out of my routine, because if you're just living the same day over and over, I remember specifically sitting at a stoplight in Wisconsin, and every Monday, I would have another major issue in my business, and thinking this Monday has got to be the worst Monday ever. Next Monday won't be this bad. And then next Monday was worse. And I was like, but this is the worst one. And then delusion helps for sure. Yeah. But I remember calling, it was probably Larissa or somebody, she's like, just get out of your city, go somewhere for just 48 hours. And that would usually jumpstart my enthusiasm, was going somewhere and seeing somebody who was not in a slump.
Yeah, when you're crushing this, it's impossible to be in a slump.
Yeah.
So it's something that you're doing is not
off.
Correct.
Yeah.
So go spend time with somebody who's doing a better job. It's that easy.
Find a new guy that's crushing it and go have dinner with them and just don't talk.
Yeah.
Don't tell them your problem. Just be like, tell me about what you're doing.
Watch someone work,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You realize they have the same negatives of you, they just handle it better. And you're like, all right, that's me,
That's what these entire conferences have taught me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My name is Wade Blair. I've been a business owner for about 3.5 years. My question is, why is our industry so misunderstood online?
That's a
that's a
great
good one.
question.
I love that question.
Who wants to tackle that one?
How many hours do we have?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I think this industry is misunderstood online because it tries to sweep everybody into the same category. And when everyone runs an individual business, it would just they're all different, right? So are some good and some bad? Yeah, probably, right? So sometimes those negatives are true. The person running and owning and operating that business did do the wrong thing. They didn't, follow a good compliance structure. They weren't there for their guys. That stuff's true. The problem is that they all get categorized in one category of direct sales, when in reality, that wouldn't be the experience they would have had in someone else's office. But because it's generalized, it's like saying all chicken is bad because one person got salmonella. It's like, well, then no one should ever eat chicken. It's like, well, it was just cooked improperly by this one person, and chicken at this restaurant is actually delicious, but no one ever tries it again because one person got salmonella one time. I mean, that's just the best analogy I could come up with. But what do you think?
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, agree with everything, and you can't control what people say on the internet, and they can say whatever they want, whether it's actually true or not, right? So everything she said is accurate. When I was 22 years old, I definitely made a lot of mistakes and acted emotionally, and obviously I made some people upset. And so I don't blame them, and I tried to learn and look at myself and think, okay, cool, how could, I treat people better on the way out? And that was me growing up, but then there's some things that happen that are just like, okay, that's just not true.
Yeah.
So it's hard to cipher through what's true versus what isn't true. So, and and again, free speech is, obviously incredible and all the things, but I think something I'm really grateful for in my upbringing was to really get my own perspective and opinion of things, and not be so influenced by others that it controlled my actions. So I think a quality that has long-term, people in business, successful, all the things like all of you guys, is they tend to think for themselves. And that's a trait we should teach, in my opinion, all children. How can you think for yourself? So it is important to get educated. It's important to look at the negatives, look online, and then take your own opinion of our industry, because we're going to have them, good, bad, ugly. But as long as we, people can take their own opinions, that's what we're looking for.
And we would never bring our own siblings into something that we didn't wholeheartedly believe in.
Yeah. I think the other thing is online, like, and it's just like normal human nature, right? Like when people are upset about something or they feel emotionally high, like they have to express that somewhere. And nowadays it's really easy, you know, instead of having a conversation with Jess about whatever it is that she did, it's so much easier to go online and just be Punk Master 92 and say like, you know, like Jess Vitalik was mean, you know, like, you know, and it's just so much easier. But then you also have to ask yourself, like to Jess's point about thinking for yourself, like, okay, but does that person actually want that company to do better? Because if they really did, they'd have a conversation with Jess. So they're just getting their feelings out, right? Which is fine, they have to do that. But, you know, on the flip side, just like at a restaurant, when you have a great experience, my first thought is definitely not to go online and leave a 5-star review unless they like are like, hey, we could really use this 5-star review. Could you do this? And then every time I do. But my first thought is to just walk up to whoever it was that was serving us and be like, this was so great. Like, I can't believe this is our first time here. We love this restaurant. This was amazing. Like, that's my first thought, is to say it to their face. Yeah. Right? That's just, it's normal human nature. It's not just our industry. That's just people's behavior in general. That's how it goes. So some of it, you just have to understand that. There's so many more positives that we just don't see. And if we were to actually really extrapolate all the data of all the people who had a really positive experience, right? Even the ones that aren't here, but just are so grateful for our industry, you don't see those online. They're like, oh, well, the positives are fake. It's like, no one cares. No one has time for that.
Yeah, we're humans. We spend all this time working with these people. So when one of my, someone that I used to mentor, she recently called me and she goes, hey, Jess, I just wanted to let you know about what's happening in my life. And I was like, all right, yeah, let's hear it. And she's like, I'm so grateful for everything you did. You know, she was in construction sales. So she's like a sales engineer selling like high, expensive machinery. And she's like, I work in a male-driven industry. And, you know, I've excelled right to the top. And, you know, I just wanted to call and thank you. And I was like, yeah, how are you? She's like, how's your kid? We were talking. And I'm not like, hey, do you mind putting that online? Yeah, like it's not. It's like I spent years with that person, right. You know, and I
you have a
you know what I
relationship.
mean? Like
they're just gonna call you.
I'm just thinking about the feeling. I'm thinking, you know, I'm not trying. That's just
and
not.
Your phone, you're like record.
Yeah, we get those all the time. Like the number of people that like send a text message or like, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, that happens all the time. But again, you're like, hey, I really loved hearing this. Do you mind writing all that?
How terrible.
Thank you so much.
And by the way,
here's our QR code.
Leave your review online. Links you right to our page.
Right.
Oh,
it's not gonna happen.
I think there's one other side that we probably don't really talk enough about, though, or two things I would add to this conversation, which is, one, I think we've done a horrible job of promoting our stories.
That's true.
I mean, let's be real. And here's why. We're really busy. Living our lives, okay? And driving our businesses and supporting our families. So I think that there's,
priority.
You know, and what are we really good at? We're really good at talking to people. What are none of us? We're not that tech savvy. So I think that, you know, and listen, like I actually paid to go to a conference a couple of months ago. I did it with my brother. He also is a business owner in a completely different industry. And we went together. And one of the things they talked about is just how important your brand is. And it just made me think so much about how I've really personally lived in the shadows for 12 years. And I have a story that is important and it is impactful to people. But due to my negligence in this area, due to my, I don't know, call it a insecurity to be online, whatever it is, old school mentality, whatever. I've never told my story, you know, and I do it one-on-one with people all day long, but I never do it online because I'm not an influencer and because I don't spend time recording every moment of my life. And I actually do really value my privacy also, you know, on some level, right?
Of course.
So I think there's that part that we've done a horrible job of, and now of course we're getting better at it, hence all of us here today. But I really think that we let people tell our story that told lies, attached to truths. And that caused a misconception that just isn't real. Spend a day with us. Come,
Please.
I would invite any person that says that they don't believe in what we're doing, come hang out with me. I promise you'll see that everything we do is legitimate, upstanding. We care about people. We're going to do the right things. And at the end of the day, we just want the people around us to succeed. And we want to support those people and our families. That's it. The second thing that I would say is that we're disruptive. That's why we're in demand. And so naturally, and this is what, I went to the consultant that I paid for, Alex Hormozi, I'm sure you guys have seen him online. I went to his acquisition.com workshop, scaling workshop. And I paid $5,000 to go, and I got to be in a room of 70 business owners. And they talked a lot about how do you scale a business and what happens along the way. And disruption creates hate for two reasons. It's against the grain, it's what people aren't familiar with, or people become jealous of what you've created and they wish it for themselves also. And so we're really disruptive as an industry. We do direct sales, which is a disruptive nature of business. It's also why we're in demand by the top Fortune 100 companies, because we're providing results for them that they cannot provide for themselves, which is why they outsource it to us. And so naturally, we're going to drum up people going, hey, what the heck's going on here? We want to look under the rug and see if this is real or not, because the results that we produce are outrageous compared to what they can produce for themselves. Again, that's why they hire us. And then we do something that they can't do or can't create for themselves because we're small business owners. We're able to produce at a higher velocity and make decisions faster than a large company can. And so then we come into our offices every day and we tell people to, that the world is a better place and that they can be grateful for what they have and they can make all this money and they can own a business too, when 93% of people fall into the employee category, and everyone that they've ever known, that they've ever worked for in their entire life has told them that's the best they're gonna be. And we're telling them something totally different. So you know what? I don't blame them, like literally at all, for going, are you guys real? Is there something weird going on here? Are you who you say you are? Because we're the exact opposite of everyone else. But that's also why we're good at what we do.
Hi guys, my name is Sarah Wada. I've been a business owner now for 7 months. My question is, how do you gain momentum in a new market?
Great question. Obviously, it's changed throughout the years, and we have so much more support now than we used to have with mentorship and all the things technology has allowed us to do. That's been extremely helpful. But building momentum comes with just your own example. Obviously, every day people are looking up to you as the leader. You run the show, so whether or not it's a great day or a bad day, you just you can't let anyone see you sweat. And if you're just excited to be there, people will be as well. We always, speak about, rebuilding your crew. So for instance, you move from one city to the other. A lot of the times, you'll bring people that are willing to relocate with you. And sometimes the opposite happens, where you try to depend too much on those people that move with you versus just hiring new people. That's extremely helpful as the business owner. If you spent all this time, thinking about how you were going to start your business, open your business, and on the day that your business opens, you should be the frontline person generating revenue, not sitting up, behind your desk, kicking your feet up because you literally just worked hard for the business. Now it's time to go out there and get it and generate revenue, and your own example and, being that person that drives the standard really, really helps create that momentum over time. Obviously, when you go to a new city and you want to bring your guys with you, you also want to build new individuals because, again, you're starting out and running your business for the very first time. And the people that travel with you, they need to see you on the front line, hiring, training, and showing them how it's done from the ground up. So that really, truly helps build respect. At least I know it did for me when I first started out, when I watched my mentors, do a lot of the training, the hiring, having the conversations. I really believed since they could do it, I could do it. So it's really just a leadership-led principle. Obviously you want to act as you want people to become.
Amani, I know you moved markets because you were in St. Louis for a long time, and then you moved to Cleveland, Ohio. So you saw this firsthand, right? Like when I moved from the Midwest down to Texas, like it's a whole different game, especially at a different stage in your career. So how did you scaled so fast when you moved to Cleveland. So how did that happen when you did that?
You know, I think that's a different type of momentum. You know, at that point, I'd already had, you know, almost 4 years of being, you know, a business owner under my belt. So, you know, the losing my attitude over certain things, or like the stress of watching, you know, a new business open, like I'd already been there, done that before. So I was a lot more prepared, obviously, you know, going into it this time. So, you know, the other thing was, at that time, you know, relocating markets, I was married. You know, we knew we wanted to start a family relatively soon at that point. There was a lot going on. And so I just knew, to Jess's point, that what is the same is that you have to be the front lines for your team. They have to see you like in the thick of it, doing the hiring, doing the training, showing up with a great attitude every day, no matter what's going on. So I just really knew, like, okay, well, I don't really have time to lose my attitude. I just have, you know, you can't be ungrateful or like stressed and grateful at the same time. It's just like neurologically impossible. So they require the same part of the brain. So like, you know, if you're grateful, you really don't have time to feel stressed. So I was just grateful that I had an opportunity to move to a bigger market. Mm-hmm. And so I was just excited about that, so.
Yeah, I think being a brand new business owner, it's important you own the fact that that's what it is. You're a brand new business owner. You just got started. So everything's fresh, it's small, you're bad at it, right? So you've got to own the negative and just be really transparent. Like, I'm gonna need your buy-in because this is gonna be messy, and I apologize, but I appreciate you guys trusting me with this, and I will do my best to help you. And anything I can do to, you know, you can learn from my mistakes, I'm gonna make that happen. So I think the biggest thing is just owning the fact that this is new and game on.
Those are some really good questions from the new owners, don't you guys think?
Yeah.
What are some things that you guys hope for in the coming years? We've seen a lot of different changes and things evolve, obviously, from most of us starting in retail and the back of Sam's Club selling pillows or hair straighteners or mops, whatever, to now, you know, representing some of the biggest clients nationally. And, you know, some of our people go to the Super Bowl every year, which is just wild to me that that's even a possibility. What do you guys hope for the future? I
just hope that, you know, obviously we all continue to appreciate and, you know, respect our industry, because it is so special. And, you know, it's what we do isn't unique. I mean, obviously it's not that unique, but like what we have in front of us is really special, like the access to mentors for free. You know, Kinsey talked about going to this conference that, you know, for Alex Hormozi, and she learned so much, and that did still come with a $5,000, you know, like price tag. And, you know, just the fact that I can go to Abby's office for a week, and Abby's not gonna be like, only if you'll pay me $5,000 money. And she's in the exact same industry as me. And she'll go out of her way to make sure that she answers all of my questions and spends time with me. And, you know, there's no ego in it, you know, like that's just, I think that's so special. And so, you know, understanding that for us to like really grow and expand and change our family trees and, you know, all of those things. And all we have to do is just make sure that we move with integrity, honesty, and respect towards everything that we're doing. And that means on the level of the people we coach, that we get the privilege and opportunity to coach and mentor, to the consumers we get to talk to our clients. And all we have to do is just continue to respect those things. It's such a small ask. So my hope for the future generation, and, you know, even myself, what I expect of myself is just, you know, to continue to have gratitude and appreciation for that, so that we can continue to protect that, so that it can continue to prosper.
I had dinner last night with this new owner, and he's like, oh, I heard you just got married. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, how did you find time to date while owning a business? And I was like, bud, you're in your first year of this. You are in the thick of this. This is going to be the hardest year, because your first year at anything, you're the worst at it. Mm-hmm. But as you get better and better, this gets significantly easier. You have way more time on your hands. And I was like, man, if there's anything I could tell for our future people, it's so freaking worth it. Mm-hmm. So yes, it's hard at first, but it doesn't remain that hard. And if it did, this wouldn't work long-term for anybody. So stick with it. You will be very proud of yourself and very happy and excited for like the lifestyle you'll create if you put the hard work first.